Well, here we are. It's Friday, May 8th, 2026, and this is the weekly roundup, so to speak. Weekly look at the auction market, see what's been going on with Chinese and Japanese and Asian things. And we're going to take a pretty deep look today at a couple of carpet sales that are coming up too. I know a lot of you like carpets. One of you actually emailed me this week to remind me of the Bonhams sale that's taking place right here in Massachusetts at the old Skinner Gallery. They've got a sale coming. There's a sale coming up at Ripon Boswell's and a few others. And we're going to go through some of them, but always check out carpets. I just think that they are very much overlooked, and a house with a good carpet in it is a very comfortable place to be. I've always loved the things. Anyway, before we get going, just update on the website. It's fixed. Yay! They finally got their acts together, and we tested and tested and tested it. And the email service is back on, and the identification assistant service and the preview assistant service is back on. That's for those of you that have things that you're thinking of buying. You use the preview assistant, send us a link to the object, and we'll tell you what we think of it and see if it's accurately described, because often they're not, and sometimes they are. Who knows? And items that you may own or that you've inherited, you can submit them through the identification service, and we'll give you an idea of what the thing is and how much it's probably worth in the market, and probably a little background on it too. It was interesting. I checked the other day while they were updating the site, and I was in there poking around. Apparently, we've done 33 or 35,000 of these replies in the last 4 years, I guess, since we started it. I guess it's been 5 years, maybe at this point. I was rather stunned. I thought maybe we'd done a couple of thousand of them, but between the preview assistant and the identification service, around 35,000 replies, I think, was the total so far. So at any rate, they're a lot of fun to look at. I enjoy doing them. So anyway, if you have something you've been wanting to send in, send it, and we'll take a look. All righty. Now, what else is going on here? A couple of things. There were few sales closed this week, but very, very few. Just a handful. There was not much. This is my sold items on Live Auctioneers. Not much. But one thing that slipped through, and I had this on the global pages for several weeks because I thought it was a terrific chair, and I thought the estimate was low. It was estimated at $200 to $400. It's a second half of the 19th century Chinese chair. It's a beautiful chair, wonderfully done, all beautifully carved. Probably it's some varietal rosewood they put on it. Nicely upholstered, ready to go. The upholstery job on this seat would probably cost you around $500, not including the cost of getting this thing carved if you were having it made. This chair went for $75. And this is why I say leave a bid. There were 18 people watching it. Now, granted, it's a chair, but the sale was in New York City. So if any of you are in New York City, buy them and go pick the thing up. It's not a big deal. It was at Auction Stowe Place in Astoria. And this was a real bargain. And I can't believe somebody, you always, if you've got guests coming or something's going on, you can use these chairs. These chairs are very sturdy. And you can use them as side chairs and spare chairs. They're beautiful to look at. And for $75, they didn't pay for the leg on that, one of the legs on that chair. Anyway, that was a great buy. And the other thing that happened at Eldred's this week, they had these two very nice first half of the 19th century Chinese junk paintings. These were not pith paintings. These were on watercolor paper, probably Whatman paper or European paper, beautifully detailed, good color, good condition, all framed, and they didn't sell. They were only estimated $200 to $400. I don't know what happened. I don't know how that happened, but it had only 6 people watching it. And Eldred's usually gets a pretty good crowd. I don't know what happened, but that was a big surprise. And the frame paper on the back of these, that black paper, I suspect this frame job is probably done within the last 15 or so years, the way they're done. But it's got these pictures have there's probably $700 worth of frames here, plus the paintings, and they didn't sell. The starting bid was just $100. And so I say, always leave a bid. You never know. All right, and we talk about that a lot over on the Patreon side here. This week I did a video on something I'd bought very, very reasonably recently. I was kind of shocked I got it, but always leave a bid. You have to. I try to do that whenever I can. But if you're a subscriber over there, take a look at it. And speaking of subscribing, if you haven't subscribed here yet, subscribe. I notice we have about half our views each week, or a third of them, are from people that don't bother subscribing. You don't want to hurt my feelings, do you? At any rate, this is a sale that's coming up. We're going to do some previews here because there's not a lot of results to look at. Nothing has been. It's been very quiet. I've been saying that for a couple of weeks now. There's a lot going to close though in the next couple of weeks between the sales in Hong Kong and the sales in London. There's a ton of stuff coming up. We're going to get over to another London sale. Drew Eats has a good sale coming up. Bonhams has a bunch of sales coming up and so forth. And we're going to get over to Roseberys. They've got a double sale coming up that's pretty good. They got some nice things in it. Any rate, so you have this very nice Chinese export plate done in the Meissen manner. There was a time when Meissen began producing porcelain under Augustus the Strong early on. Some of the Chinese began emulating it, or the Chinese were doing, and the Meissen factories were emulating their work. There was a lot of back and forth, and that was during the first part of the first half of the 18th century. You have this very attractive plate done in the Meissen manner. It's very, very typical. I could see how if you know that they did those, you want to be careful going through antique stores and auctions, because sometimes they'll have something listed as a German plate and it's actually Chinese export. And I've seen that many, many times. And the German plate may not be the Meissen plates can be pretty valuable, but other German makers emulated Chinese work too, and they don't sell for a lot. So if they identify them as German, you might get a pretty good buy because it's actually Chinese. But this is a very nicely decorated painting here with the river scene and so forth. And then the way it sort of has this, I don't know what you'd call it, a quasi-rococo border or some sort of frame border on it. Very stylistic, though, and lovely gilded work around the rim. The gilding is all in nice condition. That's always a great thing to look at first to make sure it doesn't have too much wear. It's estimated at $500 to $800. Seems very reasonable. It's a good-looking piece of porcelain. And then hopping over to this is coming up at Alex Cooper. Alex Cooper has a sale coming up on the 15th of May. Now this sale here, is this also Alex Cooper? This is also, okay, the Meissen, the Chinese Meissen looking plate was also Alex Cooper. This is Alex Cooper, a really nice China trade teapot for the Dutch market. It had a fully gilded handle at one point, but obviously it's been worn off from use because it was made probably around 1760 or so, maybe a little earlier. Beautifully done. Nice work, though, all the way over. The enameling looks good on it. And it's estimated at $600 to $800 with a $300 opening bid. I suspect it'll sell, because teapots lately have been relatively good, relative bargains in the market. I suspect it'll probably bring between $450 and $550. I'll be a little surprised if it gets to $600 to $800. I don't know why other export wares have been doing very well, and teapots seem to be the laggards. And it's strange to me. Maybe people aren't drinking much tea anymore. I don't know. And then this is also in the sale. There's a nice selection of books here, and always look at the books because you never know what they're going to throw in there. And this is let's see, this is Chinese. One of them is on, the Qing furniture, classic Chinese furniture of the Qing dynasty. That's a good book. I've got that tucked away somewhere. And Hidden Meetings in Chinese Art is a good book that gives you all the identifying scenes and characters and figures and why people are positioned in a certain way and what's going on, processional paintings, all that sort of thing. They're fun to have. And then there's throughout the ages, connoisseurship of Chinese jades. That looks like a pretty good set. I don't know if I have. I don't think I have that one. But it looks like it's a serious set. It's in a slipcase. That's always a good sign. Usually put pretty good books on those things. The lot's estimated at 3 to 5 with 150 opening bid. And Alex Cooper is, just if you're wondering, is located in Tucson, Maryland. All right, now hopping along over to this. This is Doyle's. Has a sale on the 14th. It's coming up in just about. I think it's a week from today. I think it's the 14th, isn't it? No, it's a week from yesterday. Excuse me. This is a sale coming up, and it's an auction of European and European decorative art, some very nice French furniture in it, and a whole bunch of China trade wares. If you like Chinese export, there's a whole bunch of it. There's some really fine examples, and I noticed some very good dealers were on the labels to this collection. So the pieces will be quite good. The sale is this one: English and Continental furniture and decorative art. That's the sale. It's in New York at Doyle's, but some beautiful furniture. If you like really great furniture, this has got some exceptional looking. You got a Louis XV walnut fauteuils. You've got Renaissance style giltwood stands. You've got fire dogs, chenets, as they like to call them. When they go to France, they become chenets. And when they come to America, they're fire dog. Anyway, you've got a nice Louis XV giltwood fauteuil armchair, kingwood, tulip wood, Bombay chests, all of it. And then there's a bunch of Chinese export as well, and other porcelain. There's other porcelains in here too. He's got some very nice Meissen wares, and this is the same one that had that Meissen plate, so I can see why he was collecting both. Obviously, there's some awfully nice looking things. A wonderful little Delft dish in here, by the way. If you like Delft, this is a charming dish, and that's a pattern that you see on Delft tiles. Many years ago, we had a frame. We was under an estate up here in the North Shore of Boston, and it was in a crate. It had never been taken out of the crate since the house was built. And the owner inherited the house and from I think it was his grandfather built the place. And this was under the staircase in the basement of the house. He said, "I know there's a big." He said it was a giant plate, I think, or something. It was a set of Delft tiles, but it was made to go into a wall, and it was probably about 30 or so tiles. It was very thick and heavy, and the center pattern of it was nearly identical to this of the bird in the frame, and it was very typical of these things. That we sold it to a very, very good dealer in New York, who I'm sure got a fortune for it. Anyway, this is a nice looking plate. That's all. We don't normally talk about Delft, but some awfully nice looking Delft out there. And there's other good furniture in that sale too, so check it out. And then there's also a pair of the parasol ladies, as they know, by Cornelis Prunk. We've talked about these many times. $3,000 to $5,000 estimate with a $1,500 opening bid. These look like pretty fine ones. By the way, you always want to check the fineness of them, but the decoration looks to be in quite good shape without a lot of rubbing on it. So probably okay. How big are they? 9 1/8 inches. They do sell for a premium at times. And this is the whole page. I guess this is all the Chinese stuff for the sale. You can see there's a lot of it. It's very good looking. And very good Chinese export wares. Kangxi wares, lots of plates. He must have been a real plate buff. So check that out. This is a pair of Yongshen plates that are in the sale. These very nice. They call them saucers. They're actually dinner plates. Very nice with sort of unusual coloring. I love the kid sitting up at the willow tree. I think that's pretty fun. And estimated at $1,000 to $1,500 with a $500 opening bid. And then hopping over to his, this is the Bonhams sale that's coming up at Skinner, the old Skinner's in Boston. This is coming up in 3 days, all right? But there's some rather nice rugs in here to look at, all right? One of them is this. It's a very nice tree Kazakh rug made in the Caucasus, and these have been very popular rugs they're popular with collectors, they're popular with interior decorators, so they always fight over these things. It's estimated at $8,000 to $10,000. It's a pretty good sized rug. It's 5'6" by 7'9", very, very pretty. Some people hang these on their walls like tapestries because they're quite visually stunning, as you can see. The colors look very, very good on it, and it's an extremely well-known type of Caucasian rug. There are certain categories of Caucasian rugs that are pretty much instantly recognizable, and these tree Kazakhs are one of them. But notice the colors are really nice, very warm rust ground. The ivory wool on it looks good. The other colors look solid. So it'll probably do pretty well. It's got 15 people watching it with an $8,000 to $10,000 estimate. And then hopping over to this, there's also another well-known type. It has a nice yellow border on it. It's a Karashop Kazakh. And these tend to be sort of leaning towards more the square style. There are many variations of this pattern, as you might imagine. The placement of all the blocks, has a very strong geometric component to it, obviously, but a very lovely border and this nice inner and outer running dogtooth border. And the dogtooth border is sort of an optical illusion. You look at it, you say, these they call these little dog teeth. Is the dog tooth on the upper row? Are they white or are they red? Because it's two of them, and it sort of creates an optical illusion. And on the bottom, are they white or red? Which is it? I like that. Anyway, it's a $5,000 to $7,000 rug is what it is. Probably might do a little better than that with 6 by 7 feet. So it's, again, a nice size rug. It looks to be in good condition. I don't see a lot of wear to it, so you're in good shape on that. And then you have this. It's sort of unusually colored Yomud osmotic saddlebag. These shaped saddlebags that are very popular among collectors. And this one has a very nice bluish tone to it. All the way through the center on the zigzag patterns and so forth, and in the outer borders. This sort of steel, it's almost like a steel blue. It's very pretty, though. All the way around. This is an old one. This looks like quite an old one, probably mid 1800s, I would guess, without handling it. What are they calling it? Circa 1800. They think it's even earlier. Okay, well, we'll go with that. 3,000 to 5,000. It's got the color palette on it. It's an old is what the kind of colors you really see on old ones, and it's estimated at 3,000 to 5,000, which I think is pretty reasonable actually for that. And it's already got a bid at $1,700, and these are fairly large usually. This one is 3'10" by 2'4", so it's a fairly wide rug. It's almost 4 feet wide. They're pretty good size, and they were cargo bags, basically, that went on the backs of pack animals for the Yamut tribe in Central Asia. And then there's this very nice, this is a little rug. It's only 3 by 3'11", but it's charming. And it's made by the Afshar tribe in Persia. Formerly, today it's Iran. Back in the day, it was Persia. And these are wonderfully colored rugs, Afshar South Persian tribal rugs. And they have this bota design, as it's known, or pear-shaped designs on them running through it. And this very nice outer border, and then these floral star borders at the bottom. And sometimes you see these rugs, and that part's been cut off, and nobody notices. But they often have them at both ends. Okay, so if you're lucky, you get them on both. They're still intact. They don't always have them. When they do have them, it's a nice extra. And this one is estimated at $2,000 to $3,000 with an $1,800 bid. This is art. This is an art rug, not a rug you're going to throw by your front doors, to wipe your feet on when you come in. These were woven with extraordinary care, hand colored, hand done dyes, and hand spun wool, everything, just beautifully made objects. So if you buy it, find a nice place to put it. And then this is one of the nicest things of the sale, just because it's a very early Chinese rug. Dates out to about 1800, but has a very a type of pattern you see on Ningxia and other Peking rugs, which are deer, but you usually don't see them scaled down quite so much. Usually they're more prominent on the piece. You'll have one deer at the top and one end, one deer at the other end. Those are later 1800s rugs. But when you get to the early 1800s, you sometimes find them like this, where they're really done sort of at a whole different scale, where the animals are smaller and tighter, and they're able to work in more into the atmosphere here. So you have the ascending heron, you've got the two-spotted deer, you've got another heron up here walking around on the ground, and then it mirrors, and then there's another pair of them on the top of the rug going that way. This is a very old rug, and the color, the yellow in it's very, very nice. It hasn't faded at all. Quite attractive. And there's the back of the rug, and it's got those nice sort of loose knots running through it. And if you examine the cotton on those, on the warps and the wefts on this rug, you'll see that they're fairly irregular in shape. That's one of the things that often happen, because they were hand done. They weren't done on very mechanical looms, so to speak. They were spun by hand, so sometimes the wefts of the warps are of different sizes. It's kind of a fun thing to go through and look at. $3,000 to $4,000 with a $1,500 bid, and opening bid, and it's 4 by 6 feet. It's a beautiful rug, rare rug. And then there's also this, a Kazakh rug, striped Kazakh with the rows of tulips going up and down it. These are always so striking. I think they're really attractive. This is a pretty good sized rug. It's 4 foot by 8 feet, 4 by 8 feet. So it's not a little scatter rug. This is a good sized rug. And again, you can hang it on a wall if you've got an 8 foot wall to hang it on. Hang it horizontally, or put it in a place where it's not going to get a lot of traffic. Because this is a pretty old rug. This is also a 19th century rug, late 19th century, beautifully done. The colors look good. $1,500 to $2,500 with a $750 opening bid. And then the last one is this, a very nice shirt. It's a Qashqai carpet. They call them shirkaloos now. They've over the last 20 years, they've really gotten into breaking down sub-tribes of all these weaving groups in Asia. It used to be sort of, they used to just refer to these almost generically as Shirazes in some areas. Now they, of course, there were so many offshoots, the Luri tribes, the Kemsa tribes, the Qashqai tribes, all these different tribes, and the same in the Caucasus, of course, and then the same in Central Asia. There are all these tribes and sub-tribes of the Central Asian Turkoman people and so forth, and then their rug weaving tradition and all the patterns they came up with. So they keep doing more and more research. So they're really splitting hairs, I think, at this point. But this is a wonderful looking rug, a beautiful, beautiful rug. Exceptional. There was a great rug dealer in Boston that was a huge fan of these in bee jars. His name was John Collins, and he passed away a number of years ago. But I used to buy Qashqai rugs from him, and Afshar bag faces and things. He was a real whiz with them, and he had very good sources. All right, now hopping over to this Roseberys rather, is this. They have 2 days sale coming up. Japanese and Southeast Asian art, part 1 and part 2, starting on May 12th and resuming on May 13th, both starting at 10 o'clock in the morning, UK time. Always remember that because they're a few hours ahead of us. But there's some very good things in this sale. They've done a good job. Roseberys has really, in the last few years, they've come, I think, quite a good way with their Asian sales. They've always done pretty well with them, but they've had a couple of finds. They've gotten into some houses, and they pulled out some collections, and they've made the best of selling them for their clients. And I think the people are starting to think, yeah, they're a good place to consign with. And there are other good ones too, of course, over there, but I think they've done a particularly good job. And here we go. This is some highlights of some of the lots, some nice brush pots. There's some nice mark and period pieces in here. They also have some reproductions on day 2, but they say they're 20th century. There's no game going on here. They'll tell you what they think, how old the piece probably is. They're not doing that, which is a great thing. There's also a very good section in this sale devoted to Chinese silks. If you're a silk buyer, you've got to go look at it. There's several pages of silks. There's some rare ones. There was a woman who collected a lot of them. She was a art collector. I guess she was a socialistic sinophile. I'm not sure. They wrote an article about her. She sounded like a character. At any rate, she had some very nice Chinese silks and textiles. This is just one of them, apparently. This very attractive light blue ground carpet. Robe rather. Very nice colors, very pleasing, almost aqua blue, which is quite unusual. This is quite a beautiful carpet. I keep calling it a carpet. I guess it's hung over from the previous stuff. Beautiful robe, nice Qing robe. The dragons are beautifully done, and they stand out particularly well on this lighter blue ground. I think it's very successful. I think it really works. The gold, the wrap down here around the collar is excellent. The cuffs look good on the ends. It's estimated at £8,000 to £12,000 with a £5,500 opening bid. But it's a heck of a nice robe. And there's also a very nice ladies' gauze woman's vest, very finely worked. There's also skirts in here too. There's a whole bunch of stuff. It's a pretty good sale for the textile buyer. Here you go. And this one has this nice warm sort of, I don't know what you call that, walnut husk brown ground on it. And then a light blue, which you wouldn't think it would work with brown so well, but it actually does. And this big roux head closure on the front. Estimated at £8,000 to £1,200 with a £550 opening bid. And then this also, some paintings, there's some nice paintings in here. And this is a painting very much done in the style of Giuseppe Castiglione, or also known as Lang Shi Ning, the 18th century court painter. This wasn't by him. This is in what they call in the school of him. If this was by him, it would be very, very big news. But this is a beautifully done thing. It's got some Tibetan script off on the side, and it is a wonderful, wonderful painting of a Ruyi scepter. And it looks like it's set with coral and carved pearls or something going down it. You'd have to really look into that. It's beautifully done with jade leaves, perhaps inlaid into the wood. It's estimated at 3 to 5,000 pounds. 2,000 pound opening bid, and they're dating it fairly. I think it's a fair thing to do. They're dating it 18th or 19th century because they did this kind of work after Lang Xining died for quite a while and well into the 19th century. So check that out. There's also things like this. These are really pretty, very involved. These are actually pith paintings. And pith paintings, they usually don't look quite this good. These are really fine ones. They probably made around 1840, and they're not terribly big. They read like they're bigger than they are visually here, but they are only, they're nice size actually. They are 10 centimeters by 17 centimeters. So they are roughly 4 by 8.5 inches each. They're not terribly big, but I think they're awfully pretty. And the estimate is very reasonable, 150 to 250 pounds, and with a frame. These are framed, and a 60-pound opening bid. So if you live in the area and you want to buy some dandy Chinese paintings for your house, grab these. Because people are going to pay a lot of money to ship these a long distance. But if you're local, go in and take advantage of the situation. All right, and then also this brush pot is coming into the sale. It's inscribed 550 euro a pound opening bid, $800 to $1,200 estimate. Seems very reasonable. Probably an early 19th century brush pot. It's done to like some of the Ming pots you see, I have to say, and it's very well carved. It's very, very well carved. It's got some vertical splits in the bamboo, which is pretty typical when you find these things in Western houses after being there for a while, because they dry out, they expand and contract. Bamboo is in damp weather is almost like a sponge. It pulls in all the moisture, and then as it dries out, all the moisture goes out, and the wood is constantly moving. And over time, it develops cracks in the wood, but they don't fall apart or anything. It's just a condition that happens very often in the West with the dry air in the winter in particular. But this is a beautifully carved pot, beautifully done, and it measures paragraph is 17 centimeters in height, so it's a pretty good sized brush pot actually. It's about 7.5 inches tall. It's a nice one. And then over to this, the lacquer lobed box, very nice cinnabar box with cover. They're dating it to the 18th century. Nicely done, $1,000 opening bid, but very nice detail. I love the fellow's got a very nice smile on his face, sitting and swirling with crowds and then sort of a lattice pattern background going on. And this is a box, of course, so there's the rest of it. There it is. And it's probably small, about 4 inches or so, I would guess. They generally are fairly small. This one is 8.8 centimeters, so about 3.8 inches long. That's about right. These little boxes, but they're charming as all get out. They look wonderful on a shelf. Put them someplace where you can enjoy them. It's got a 1,500 to 2,000 pound estimate with a 1,000 pound opening bid. And then this. Hold on. Sorry about that. Somebody tried to sell me something to do with the Mega Millions, some sort of contest. Yeah, it's unbelievable. At any rate, they call every day. I don't know. Probably all of you get these calls. I get them. We get them every day, at least twice a day, from somebody peddling some nonsense. At any rate, do not ever talk to these people. If you hear a 3-second delay on the phone while you're waiting for the guy to answer, hang up. It's coming out of India, and it's at Crook. All right, now back to work here. This I think is an absolutely charming piece of Caucasian porcelain, and it's very unusual, I think, visually. It's all over glazed blue except for the little bit of underglazed blue around the bottom. It has this beautiful, almost electric blue dragon, but instead of being in the center of the bowl around the sides, he's more towards the top. He's up close to the rim, like he's trying to get out of it, and there's the flaming pearl and gilt in front of them, and it's molded. It's got lotus leaf molding around the bottom part of the bowl. So the dragon is sort of flying over the lotus leaf. There's a very nice clean aubergine in it. It's got a beautifully trimmed rim on it. I think this is a very, very attractive bowl. And then the other side, he's more of a green color, obviously, and more flaming pearls and so forth. And you can see the lotus molding work here a little bit better. I think this is just an absolutely charming bowl. The inside is fairly simple, but the outside's got a lot going on, and it's got a Ming mark on it, and it's got a Bluets label on it. And I don't doubt that the Bluets handled this. This is not doesn't look like it's a label that's been planted the way they do, as we saw in that video a couple of weeks ago, where they're actually putting spink labels on in the factory in Jingdezhen. So they're just making their own spink labels now. But this looks completely legitimate. The foot rim on this looks fine for Kangxi. The enamels look perfectly correct for Kangxi. I have no doubts about it at all. But it's got an apocryphal Zhaijing mark on it. It measures 8 inches in diameter, so it's a nice size bowl. Get a condition report on it. But for 2,000 to 3,000 pounds, I think that's a steal. I think that's an absolutely lovely bowl. You will probably not find one like it. Maybe you can. If anybody out there can find another one that has that pattern on it, I'd like to know. But as we all seen, atypical things that you can't find, readily comps for, as they say, a comparable item that's sold in the last 20 or so years, or sold ever, you can sometimes get a bargain, because people get weak in the knees when they're bidding on something that they don't know the value of, because nobody else has told them. Don't buy that way. Buy with your heart. Buy with your gut. That's how you want to shop. All right. So that I think is one of the. I'm dying to see what it brings. I hope somebody gets it for very little. I hope somebody gets a bargain. But leave 4,000 or 5,000 pounds on that bowl. I think it's very pretty. And then you have this very nice gilt bronze Ludan and Garuda figure. This is a nice example. It's about 3 inches long, but it's beautifully done. And you don't see often. You see these food lines stretched out like this, and they've got something on their back to hold something or something. This is a food line or Ludan with a Garuda on his back, and Garudas they're mythical birds from India, from the Hindu religion. You don't see them very often in China. You do see them occasionally. You see them in India fairly often. But here he is. He's come in and he's landed on the food line's back. But the quality of the casting here is quite good. When you look at the little details, always check the little details on bronzes from this period, and see how well done they are, how tightly done they are, how finished they are, the way the toes are done, all the little elements. And then the bird itself, of course. Always check all of those out. This is 7.7 centimeters long, so it's just it's about three inches and change in length, and it's only estimated at 5 to 8. Well, it's estimated 5 to 8,000 pounds, which I think is reasonable. And it's got a 3,400 pound opening bid. It's a nice scholar's object, and they're dating it. Well, they're dating it sort of loosely. To me, it looks like a late Ming one. They're dating it 17th to maybe early 18th century. So they're thinking probably Kangxi period. I think it might be a little older than that. Doesn't matter. It's a beautiful bronze, and it's in good shape, and the gilding is all there. And buy it for what it is, a great little object. And it wouldn't be expensive to ship to the U.S. either, because it's only a few inches long. Have them ship it as Japanese. Get a local shipper to change the label. And then you have this very nice 18th century blue and white brush pot, with sort of almost like a Canton scene on it. The estimate is 2,000 to 3,000. I think it's 1,400 pound, 2,000 to 3,000 with a 1,400 pound opening bid. And they're dating this as Kangxi. They didn't provide any other pictures of it. It could be, but it could also be 18th century too. This is very similar to the pattern you see on Canton wares of the 18th century, the early Canton wares and Fitzhugh wares, the rocks and the buildings climbing up the mountainside like this. I'd want to see more of it, but I don't think the estimate's out of line. I think it's very pretty. So do it on that. But these auction houses, Roseberry's a good auction house. I'm not going to knock them, but if you're posting stuff online, stop being stingy with the photographs. It's not you're not doing yourself any favors. If anybody at Roseberys is watching, you're not doing yourself any favors by not including lots of photographs for every lot, especially when you have a brush pot, because everybody's going to want to see the bottom of that thing before they make a commitment to buy it. And you don't provide it, so now you're throwing an extra step in. Somebody's going to have to go, you got to go ask for pictures, and then you're never sure if you're going to get it. So a lot of times people don't bother. All right. Anyway, then you have this really nice on-way decorated, chin-lung marked. How big is this bowl? 13 centimeters in width, so it's about just about 5.5 inches wide, but very nicely done, beautifully done. And now they said it has on-way decoration. I don't see any on-way decoration here. I wonder maybe that was a typo on their part. There's the bottom of it. It looks absolutely fine. The colors are good. It does look to be chin-lung to me. I'm noticing there's some nice color shifts in the yellow ground here. In here, there are dark areas and light areas and all that. The molding, the potting looks good. The shape of the bowl looks good. The irregularities look very good because you want to see some of those too. The estimate is 8 to 12,000 pounds with a 5,500 pound opening bid. Yellow enamel on way. I don't believe that's technically on way. On way is supposed to be surprise. It's the decoration that's in the glaze that you only see if you tip it a certain way, and it reveals itself. It literally, I think the word means literally surprise. But at any rate, it's maybe somebody was looking up Chinese words when they're doing the catalog. Thank you, though. They did put loads of pictures in, which is the most important part. And then over here, you have the second day sale. There's a whole bunch of stuff in the sale. I think there's got to be upwards of 1,000 lots between these two sales. I'm not sure how many items there are. There's a lot of stuff in this sale. And then on this day, you have all this material coming in. Some of it is very good. Some of it is just decorative. They say so. But there's some awfully sweet pieces in there. You have this Kosomitsuki late Ming bowl with the crayfish on it. I love this. This is great. And these, of course, were made in China for the Japanese market. Very nicely done with script and these beautiful crayfish on it. And the bowl should be about 7 inches in diameter, I'm suspecting, 7 or 8 inches. Did they not include it? They didn't put the dimensions in. Okay, well, it's probably about 7 inches in diameter. You might want to email them if you're interested in this thing and ask them, how big is it? Because they always include the dimensions. No, they didn't. But I suspect it's somewhere between 6 and 8 inches in diameter. It's sort of the typical size for these. And then over to this very, very pretty blue and white Phoenix bowl. And now this is a second half of the 1700s. And it was bought from Henry Moog down in Georgia. A very nice looking bowl. And again, only one photograph, really? Why are you doing that? It does look to be that age, maybe Chongzhen period. I don't think it's transitional necessarily. It could be, but it's in there. But more likely, I think, sort of heading towards the Kangxi era. So not Chongzhen, Shunji period. I think it's more likely Shunji than Chongzhen. But mid 1600s. We'll just leave it at that because they don't have any. I can't see the bottom of the thing to really get a look at it. And we're only talking about a time span difference of about 25 or 30 years. The estimate is for nothing. 800 to 1,200 pounds with a 550 pound opening bid. And it's, how big is this thing? 24 centimeters in diameter. So it's about 10 inches wide. It's a good sized bowl for a very modest price. Find out if it's got any repairs because that estimate seems awfully low for that. That's a nice piece of porcelain. But also get a picture of the bottom of it, too, to check out the how it looks underneath. And then over to this, another very nice Kangxi powder blue with gilding box. And over here, it's got a, what is it? It's like a Chenoir mark or it's a Xuande mark, I believe, isn't it? It's got the Xuande mark. It measures 13 centimeters in diameter, so about 5 inches wide. Very sweet, though, and there's the lid up top here. It comes off. Nicely done. The powder blue on it was very successful in the firing. Came out nice, lots of nice contrast, light, cheerful color. But 8 to 1,200 pound estimate, that's got to be off. That's got to be off because they didn't make. You don't see boxes very often from this period, and this looks awfully pretty. So do check that out. And then over to this, the Chinese Femivaire biscuit figure of Zhen Wu, the general. Let's see here, done in Sensai decoration. Nicely done. The aubergine is almost brown looking. It is aubergine, but it's sort of toward the brown shade. But the greens look nice. The colors look good. The facial details look good. And it's estimated at just 8 to 1,200 pounds with a 500. I guess it looks like a lot of their bids start at 550 pounds. Must be the magic number for them. But check out both sales. There's some nice things over these 2 days. In this sale, and there's some very big, there's some Chanshu Pings that are very good looking. But they label them as 20th century, and some of them might be late 20th, and some of them might be early 20th. Roseberys tends to use the term Republic though, and they think they're 20th century and from there. So if it's just 20th century, you want to always double check with them to make sure which end of the 20th century are they talking about? Are they talking about Model T time or, Bill Clinton's administration? So you got to sort of break it up that way. All right. Or later even. So that's that. All right. So that sort of covers it for the week. So you got Roseberys. I've got to take a look, see what Woolley and Wallace is doing. See if they've got anything. I bet they probably do. I haven't looked at them for a little while. Let's take a look right now. All right. Why didn't it come up? Hold on. There we go. Salisbury Sales Room. Let's see. Okay, they do have a sale. Accept all cookies. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. There we go. They got 3 days of sales coming up. Fine Asian art on May 19th. Lots of bronzes. We'll come back and do another one on this in a couple of days. Give me some time to work on this. This looks like they might have some good things. John Axford over there at Wallace, he does a hell of a job with his sales, and usually there's some nice things in there. So we'll go back and look at that. So I'll do it. We'll do a video on that in a couple of days. The sale's on the 19th. You got a few days. I'll try to get to it between now and Monday afternoon. So we'll get it out quickly. All right. I didn't even think of it. That's my bad. Have a great weekend, everybody. Subscribe here if you haven't already. Leave a comment. Tell me if I've missed any sales. Right in there and say, hey, how many, do you know about this sale? And I know for Americans right now, it's a little tough to buy over in the UK because of the tariff things and all that stuff. But it's right now, it's the only stuff going on. And somebody emailed me because they just found out that Drew Eats has a deposit requirement. If you're a new buyer at Drew Eats, they do require a cash deposit. We've talked about it before, but not everybody has obviously heard that. They do charge a deposit. It's usually just for the first time. If it goes smoothly and you take care of it, that's it. But they've had some problems over in the UK, as many of you know, with non-payers out of China primarily. The Shanghai guys are particularly brutal, and these auction houses put their foot down pretty firmly a number of years ago when this was going on. It's a new phenomenon. As many of you, if any of you have been going to auctions for a long time, you all know that the rule was you pay for your stuff. Even if you buy a mistake, you still have to pay for it. And it was always a gentleman's thing. And here in New England, in 20 years of doing auctions, 20 or more years, when we did auctions, over that time, I may have told the story before, we had 2 people who never paid. And one of them was a sad story. And they were both sad stories. One of them was the man didn't pay for him because he died. He was a phone bidder and he passed away. And and I ended up calling the house unaware that he had died, and his wife answered the phone. And it was about maybe a week after the auction because we hadn't heard from him, and we always did hear. He was a regular buyer. He lived out of state, and I called and said, "Hey, is John there?" And she knew who I was, and she said, "You didn't know that he died the day after the sale." And she still offered to pay for the thing. I couldn't believe it. I said, "No, no, 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 no." And unless you want it for sentimental reasons, because it was the last thing he bought. But if you don't, you don't have to. And she didn't, and we ended up reselling it, and it worked out perfectly fine. But that's how it used to be. Now, because if you didn't pay your bills in the old days, if you showed up, the word spread like wildfire among the auctioneers of the Boston and New England area. And I actually had auctions where other auctioneers would come up to me and say, "Don't let that guy register because he owes all money to all these different auctioneers around the area." And after you stiff a couple of auction houses, the word spreads like gasoline. It spreads like crazy, and everybody knows, and now you can't buy at auction. And unless you show up with cash and they're convinced you've already paid off your previous purchases, it can get real ugly. But with the guys in buying the Chinese stuff, they see nothing wrong with walking away from a purchase if they don't feel like paying for it for whatever reason. And so, anyway, long story longer, make it short. Drew Eats obviously had that problem. So that's the way it is. All right. And it wouldn't be that way if they didn't have the problem. All right, that's all I'm going to say. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back soon. We'll do a preview on the William Wallace sale, and have a great weekend, everybody. All right, and join us over at Patreon if you haven't yet. We've had a lot of people join. It's a lot of fun. We've done several videos this week over there too. All right, bye-bye.